Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Warped, the completely unnecessary Star Trek podcast, where we provide unasked for audio commentary tracks to Star Trek The Next Generation episodes live. My name is Matt.
I'm Sean.
I'm Jake.
Lee.
Aaron.
Min.
And I'm May.
Yes! That was a real... I'm still recovering from last week. I don't know about you guys, but...
Yeah.
That was a real thrill.
Yeah.
In comparison, hearing Aaron do it was like watching my child get on the stage for the first time. It was touching, it was sweet, and she did her best.
You don't really often talk about your child. It's nice that every once in a while you throw her.
Every once in a while.
She stays in the box. The child doesn't go on the table.
Well, I mean, if the child was better looking.
Well, one time.
How is little Pamela there, man? Like,
Not even going there. You know, we have an episode to get to. Don't think I'm gonna.
Back into a twinkle.
What would Min's daughter's name be? Let's all name Min's.
That's a tough one. Yeah.
Twinkle.
Mindy?
Solid.
It's definitely Mindy.
Definitely Mindy.
I'm gonna vote for one of these that I like most. And I'm gonna be honest.
My favorite.
When
everyone knows it's Mindy.
My favorite show. My favorite show when I was a kid.
Slanty eyes, but you're not allowed to.
Yoinks. Your favorite show?
Remember when Robin Williams played Min on Min and Mindy?
Well, I mean, that would be quite an actor to play.
Talk about cultural appropriation.
No, geez, I would love it if Robin Williams played me in my autobiography, in my biopic.
Well, that's going to be hard now.
Yeah.
Because he's dead.
I'm okay with a CGI Robin Williams playing me.
Uh-huh.
Cool.
Yeah.
What would be the name of your biopic? I think we've all settled on Mindy. What's the name?
Yeah, there's no other choices.
Yeah.
How about Minner Minist? No, that's not hitting with the crowd.
I love it, actually.
That's why you need us to name your child.
The Minner Minist Mindy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or as friends called her,
I swear to you, though, the most popular name that you guys come up with for my child, I will totally float that past my partner if and when I have my kid. I'm gonna be
so. Listeners, contact us at
send in your listener suggestions
and tell us what you think men should name his theoretical child.
Yeah. I'm putting it out there.
If it's a boy, Bruno. If it's a girl, Gertrude.
Thank you, Riker's beard.
Yeah.
Aaron will be mad if you don't name the child Corky Romano.
Jeez.
Well, you gotta start the episode, right?
What are we doing? We're watching season 2, episode 2 of Star Trek: Next Generation, where silence has Lease.
Lamb.
Sean, how much time is on the clock?
I got 45 minutes and 47 seconds on the clock, and I'm punching the triangle in 3, 2, 1, punch.
Here we go.
Right. Yes.
Mine didn't punch.
Oh,
Punch.
Manually punch.
that's what happens.
Manual punch.
Yeah.
It's like last time.
It's like the computer.
Season 2 has been.
You got to use a manual punch.
These have been rocky starts, but they've been good. We've been going with it. Matt,
it's
are you with us?
Here, it's rocky for Picard. He's kind of like uneasy on the bridge.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now it's working. He just sat down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway, what were we talking about?
Well, we're certainly not talking about how she was pregnant a few days ago.
No, they'll never talk about that ever again.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything went back to where it should be.
Down.
That is the foundation of a successful relationship. Being able to just forget about past misgrievances. Isn't that how your marriage has survived?
Says Says the
You don't know
one of
how
the
many
guys
times I've had to forgive my wife for letting an alien impregnate her with a which is essentially a mayfly, you know.
Did you?
No.
To be fair, she didn't let them impregnate her. Right? They just did it without her consent.
That's why we're here in 2020 right now. There's no understanding of consent.
Damn.
Really?
And
You talked to your wife
certainly not
about
when they
that?
were making
We
Star
went the
Trek.
Star Trek method and just didn't talk about it ever.
Never
Talk
it
about
again.
what?
See, there you go.
Yeah.
Is.
Well, that's why your relationship is much healthier than mine.
What's it like in the witness protection program?
I've said too much. I have to go.
Glad they still let you podcast.
Yeah.
It's amazing they still allow the podcasting. They're like, nobody listens to that show anyway,
Yeah.
so go ahead and do it.
Pretty much the perfect cover.
No one will ever find you there.
That's
Wow.
No, it's good though. We have a good explanation for it now. It's the official voice of Riker's beard.
Wait, he's about to do an amazing dance scene. About to moonwalk.
What the hell is happening in this episode?
They're
Teenage
It's like
Mutant
Thriller
Ninja
Part 2.
Turtles.
they're doing a wharf workout.
Are they fucking around on the holodeck?
Yeah, this is holodeck shit.
Okay.
This is Warp's
Dude, Riker was
calisthenics.
badass.
Oh, this is like one of his training programs.
Yeah.
This is why the
Oh.
show is considered for nerds right here. Like,
This is why?
I mean, look at this shit.
What would you rather they
You usually like it when there's weird aliens and stuff. Like, I
do,
thought you'd
but
be
I'm
enjoying it.
like, this is
She's a nerd, is what she's saying. Like he had to turn the act toward him. Yeah. This is.
So you think that guy or the Gorn, Aaron?
like Skeletor Jr.?
was the other guy supposed to be a Gorn?
this is like a Halloween
No.
costume.
It's not a very good
No.
look. I mean,
And it's
you
weird
know,
that they have
from
shows
some
like where they do
execution.
this and they have the last show, which is like decidedly not this. It's a mixed bag, you guys.
Well, I think they're trying to appeal to like a lot
You
of.
never
different
know what
kinds
you're gonna get.
well,
Oh.
that's Star Trek for you. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of, a lot of the episodes are more sort of like the last week's episode is a little more sort of like, we have a dilemma and we have to figure
Yeah.
out the solution to this dilemma. But there's no action in that episode. And then in this, then there are episodes like this one where it's more of an action adventure
Yeah.
kind of show. But that's Star Trek. Star Trek is vast. It contains multitudes. Like you can do anything you want with Star
There's
Trek.
something
You can do
for everybody.
yeah,
But
there really is. You can do ethical dilemmas. You can do
But it's
action
hard to imagine
episodes.
Picard rolling up in this Halloween mask fight. I mean, I think there's a reason why he's not in this scene.
The mask work was not
It's
great. I'll give
beneath
you that. I agree. So, Aaron, what do we think? Beard Riker or no Beard Riker?
Mm.
I think Beard
Beard
Riker.
Riker.
Yeah, I think everybody agrees.
I'm a little
I think that's pretty
And,
much
I mean, he's
universal,
good either way.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody say they prefer
Babyface.
babyface Riker. Like,
I mean, I'm glad I know
But-
what it looks like.
Don't you
Yeah.
prefer kissing
So you can know that
beardless?
you prefer the beard.
I don't know.
I just think he looks better with the beard.
Like
he
he
does.
without it. He doesn't need the beard, but like the beard adds something extra.
Gives him a little heft. Like it makes him seem a little bit more manly. Like and less of the sort
Yeah.
of, like you said, the baby
I mean,
face.
A young-
if he
Mhm.
tried to do that front chair and then that back chair thing with the beard,
Uh-huh.
Tried to. He
more
did it.
upset.
He does that all the time.
It would be douchier without the beard.
Yeah, you're right about that.
It'd be very fratty.
Mhm.
Give us the credits, Sean.
Where Silence Has Lease, Season 2, Episode 2, original air date November 28th, 1988. The Enterprise encounters a mysterious void in space, and when they move in closer to investigate further, it envelops them and they can't get out.
A void
Aaron,
just sounds like a black.
What do you think the IMDb rating of this episode is?
Probably gonna be higher than the last one.
Because it's got some
Got a
mask
bunch
work.
of nerd stuff that dudes like, so I guess it's a 7.
Jesus.
It feels like you're equating nerd with like boy.
Anybody? You said 7.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else?
May always says 7. That's her good.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say 7.
Yeah, baby.
I'll say 6 at 2.
I guess 6-1.
I'm gonna say 5'9".
6'3".
7-1.
Oh wait,
Wow.
nonsense.
I'm gonna state something that I have not backed with any facts, but I think that the more it's that in the beginning of an episode, the higher the rating versus a female-driven storyline.
Oh, okay. Probably right.
Mic drop.
Look at all these dudes and all this Riker crotch that were
The
like.
Riker's giving the crotch shot.
Mhm.
Well, he's feeling himself right now. He's got the beard. He did the forward sit, the backward Riker sit. He's
He's limbo.
I mean, he started season 2, episode 1, sitting in the captain's chair.
How do you think? Do you think Brent Spiner just would get so irritated with him putting his crotch right by his head?
I mean, we've talked about this before. It is kind of like Riker loves to do that move.
Mm-hmm.
He does it all the time. So I guess Brent Spiner's, if he did have any objection to it, Frakes ignored him because he just keeps doing it for the next 6 years. Like he's not going to stop.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't think androids care about that stuff.
He cared about his name.
Data does, but Data.
He's keeping an ongoing list of when Riker does it because he thinks that'll make him more human.
Yeah.
If he cracks the code.
Yeah. He should start
It
doing
is
it
a
himself.
weird move.
Yeah, he
Like,
should
if I
start
saw
doing
this
it
in real life, I'd be like, what's happening right now?
Yeah.
He's just airing it out.
If you saw like the scene right now where they're sort of
Yeah,
like
where he's
moved
like,
around.
leaning, I don't know.
Oh my
You've
God.
never done that at work?
Picard just tapped Wesley
Yeah.
politely on the shoulder. He's never done that
Yeah.
before.
Oh.
Yeah.
He
Starting
should-
to warm up to him.
Picard is starting to like Wesley. Oh no.
I mean, Wesley is still an object. You know,
Yeah.
a tool, as it were.
Does
last
it make
episode-
Gone up a
Does
lot.
it make sense to anybody that a 16-year-old would be allowed to stay
Sure.
on a starship that is in like peril literally every week
I think they're not
rather than go with his mother, his legal guardian, back to Earth where he would be safe? It seems weird that Wesley
Yeah.
is.
I think it's just proof of how bad a mother Beverly Crusher is.
I thought it was a
I don't
Doogie
think it's
situation. Like, he's really good at that.
Yeah, he is absolutely
He's really
Doogie of
good.
this show. Right about that.
Mhm.
I like when this
How
happens.
sexy the
Funny that
starship
I like when real world production difficulties like Gates McFadden leaving the show have to come up with some bullshit like in canon explanation for
Yeah.
why her
Love it.
son didn't go with her, because obviously they're not
Yeah.
going to fire Will Wheaton just because Gates McFadden is gone.
Right.
So they have to come up with some nonsense explanation for
Like,
why
Give
Wesley
me
gets to
permission
stay
to
on the ship.
say, my mom will be cool with it.
Yeah,
Like, she
she's
won't.
fine.
I'm sure she'll agree. It's like,
Mom's cool.
She
Yeah.
filled out my permission slip.
ugh.
She said, "Ask you."
Yeah.
Which
You
is
definitely
basically
have
what
to see
Wesley does. Wesley
Yeah.
goes to Picard first in that at last week's episode. Before he talks to it, Picard says, "What's your mom say?" And he's like, "I haven't talked to her yet. I wanted to talk to you first and get
And
you
I'm
on
like,
my
that's
side."
weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
This is a way more traditional Star Trek-y kind of episode.
This is
Well,
a very
what are we
Star
dealing
Trek-
with here?
It's an energized
An
cloud.
It's
energized
an energized
cloud.
cloud, yep.
But it's got negative energy. So that's
It's just a big
Been only
hole
done
in,
like 3 or 4 times.
space.
This is a
Exactly.
very Star Trek-y episode.
Dr. Crusher comes back next season?
Yes.
Okay.
Dr.
Only one
Pulaski is only here for this one season, and then she departs. Where she goes to LA Law. Was anybody watching LA Law in the late 80s like I was as a weird preteen watching a TV show that wasn't meant for me?
Dude, I watched it.
I did watch it regularly.
So.
She went to LA Law after this, and sort of famously, her character dies by falling down an open elevator shaft.
That's right.
But she was on LA Law for a while, wasn't she?
Yeah, so a couple, 2-3 seasons, something like that.
Okay.
At least 12 stories.
She played kind of a
that's
Dr.
pretty good.
Pulaski type on LA Law too. She was sort of like she was like a ball buster. Yeah, she was like the villain you love to hate on that show. Like she always caused a lot of problems for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Dr. Pulaski is sort of maybe opening the door for a character like the Captain Jane Elway, where it feels like Captain Elway was a little tougher.
What did you call her?
Say her name again.
Jane L. No, did I have it wrong?
You're in the stadium.
You're in the
but
zone.
not really,
Yeah.
like,
Okay. Well, you'll have to help me out. Captain.
No.
Jane.
I think we should just call her Captain Jane Elway from now on.
Jane Elway.
Okay.
The famous quarterback.
Her first name Jane, last name
Name
Elway.
Elway.
What?
Oh, I thought it was maybe Jane, middle initial L, last name Way.
Yeah.
Oh, she's Captain Way.
Janeway? Oh,
Jane Elway.
Jane Elway.
like L. Ron.
Like the L is for Lisa or something. Like,
No, just L as in like the, right? It's like a.
oh, capital E, like
L.
Superman. Okay,
Yes,
yeah,
L.
from the House of
Hold on,
L.
you guys.
Jane L. Way.
We're such
Yeah.
nerds right now.
Like element.
Hey, we let you have your moment in the sun last week. This is our time now.
This is
I
our
get to
time.
be,
Go
I get to
on.
be
You
as
got the
nerdy.
cheek
I get to be
episode.
as nerdy as I want now. Like,
Yeah.
Down.
you had your time in the sun.
Yeah.
Tell her, Matt.
I don't know why I got so aggressive right then. I'm sorry.
Yeah. He's insulting
We're having
some,
a good
some
time.
nerd culture here.
She could sense us going down a real deep nerd hole.
Yeah.
And decided to nip that off at the fucking time.
Vajager.
Like, oh no, they went from talking about Star Trek to talking about comic books. This is not going in the right direction.
Do I need to talk about Corky Romano?
Can we talk about Whoopi Goldberg
Yes.
some more?
Talk about Corky Romano and his troubles and
let's hear it.
travails.
So
Was he
I
named
think
Jake?
we were
Do we need a jingle? First of all, before you start, Aaron, do we need a jingle for Corky Romano stories? Like, do we need a Corky Romano?
You got to come up with a name. You got to come up with a title for the bit, though.
Yeah, Corky.
That's
I think it's like it's a Corky cookie. Let's have a Corky cookie.
Yeah.
Just-
Go ahead.
Okay, we should call it. Here's the name pitch for you. Do you
Yeah.
guys want some info?
Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
I'm assuming that's a reference. I've never seen the movie, so I don't know.
It's the one reference that Aaron always does.
Peace. Yeah.
I don't really listen when she talks about Corky.
well, she got it.
Okay,
Well,
totally.
listen now. Gather round, everybody. Well, you might recall
This
when
is
I
usually
said,
when I go pee. Is like
Yeah.
when this
Well,
starts.
feel free, but still listen. Just go pee. Right now.
I'm kidding. I'm listening. Go ahead.
So he talked about the film was painful and creatively damaging. Do you remember that little teaser?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just going to jump ahead. I'll just give you a little bit of condensed story. So like it started off fine. Like it was a fun movie. They were having a good time. They had some freedom to like do their thing and they were, moving in a certain direction. And then a top executive from Disney came and like fell asleep. They were like watching the reels or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And that kind of like stressed the producer out, and then all of a sudden it became like not fun. So basically, just like business stuff kind of got weird.
Everybody overinterpreted like the guy.
Yeah.
Not like.
I think I don't know. He doesn't say for sure, but like, he might have just been like tired or something.
Or maybe he just thought it was a bad movie, right? Maybe he just didn't like it.
And that's
he might not have.
So the feedback from the executives was, "This is garbage."
What's that?
The feedback from the executive was, "This is bad," and so the producer freaked out and said, "We have to start making changes," or what?
They didn't even wait for feedback, according to.
I think it's just that he fell asleep, and like
that's the feedback. I mean,
the
if you fall asleep,
the producer who thought it was hilarious before now thinks it's terrible and was like micromanaging it. So that's just give you a little background. Okay. So here's what the producer's saying. You need to smile all the time, he explained. What I want and the studio wants to see is that Chris that we all love who walks into a room smiling. Yeah, but real people don't smile all the time, especially when they're alone. But I was exhausted, and for the first time, I stopped listening to my instincts and simply followed orders. Maybe everything they were saying was right, and everything that I'd been thinking was wrong. I told myself, Bob, that's the producer, must know what he's doing, and the studio knows what they want, so I have no other choice but to trust the system. I pushed for showing moments of the character's vulnerability, especially in the scenes with Vanessa, an actress in the film. But it was the fart jokes that seemed most important to Bob.
Well, they are pretty important.
Zach Galifianakis had a small part in the film where he played Dexter, the computer hacker. When they shot the scene, Zach was having trouble acting frightened while Pete Berg and Chris Penn yelled orders at him. And Simons, that's the producer, Bob Simons, got so frustrated at Zach that he stepped in and started screaming at Zach over and over. Although it did not make it easier for poor Zach to reach a level where he was sweating, nervous. Although it did make it easier for poor Zach to reach a level where he was sweating, nervous, and truly scared, it was still uncomfortable to watch Simons literally scream in Zach's ear, toss papers around, and even grab and shake the computer desk. Zach eventually included a story in his stand-up routine about this experience, and he made Corky sound like the biggest piece of shit he ever made. When we finally wrapped, there's not much more. I sat in the editing room, cringing at how far my performance was from what I had originally intended. I remember thinking, SNL is going to have a field day making fun of this when they see it. That summer, filming Corky was the hardest I had ever worked on anything in my life. I was pulling 15-hour days, and after work every night, I would come home to, well, this. A gorgeous woman like someone you would find in a Federico Fellini film, her face inflamed and dotted with sweat, her voluptuous lips quivering as she held a kitchen knife out at me. My home life had started to play out like an episode of a show on the ID channel. I called it my introduction to dating a hot mess. This may have been the Catan curse my dad had warned me about. My girlfriend was like an exotic Sybil. Every night, another personality would appear and magically create an argument out of nowhere. She yelled at me about everything and nothing, yet always honestly seemed to believe she had every reason to. Sometimes she would greet me with a charming, "Oh, okay, now you're home." "Why didn't you call me?" she would shout. "I called you like 40 times. Not once did you pick up." I usually let it go. When you're exhausted, you don't want to pick a fight. One evening, after a very long day, I opened the fridge to see it completely empty except for one beer on the bottom shelf. "Didn't I just buy 2 cases of beer?" I made the mistake of asking her. No, why?" "Because there's only 1 beer left now." From that point on, she yelled every word she said. "Oh, so you're saying I drank them all?" Then came the final act when she threatened me with a knife, then changed her mind, shouting, "That's it, I'm going to call the cops and tell them you stabbed me." So this is the full story of what my life was like while working on Corky Romano. At the time, I had no idea that my girlfriend of 2 years was doing drugs behind my back. I had no point of reference for this relationship, nor any idea how a person doing blow even behaved. She did eventually turn her life around and became a success story. I won't mention this woman's name, but I will tell you she was taller than me. I understand now that she couldn't help it. She was battling a disease. At the time, I actually believed her anger was somehow my fault and that she was rightfully furious with me. My dad's words of wisdom is the fucking you're getting worth the fucking you're getting. The end.
Good word.
Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna have to strike all of that for copyright.
Yeah, that was an epic. I like how you said there wasn't much more, about 15% of the way in.
Just come on. It was like 2 pages.
Yeah. I don't think we gotta strike that, Philippe.
You put your own spin on it.
And that's just a little nug of
Just
what is that, the-
advertising, free advertising.
Mhm,
It's a
mhm.
good.
You're enjoying it, Aaron?
Yeah, man.
Nobody knows who Chris Kattan is anyway. So what's going on in this episode?
They're stuck in an energized cloud.
Yes.
Moving
Did they
on.
just- Call that ship the Yamato?
It is.
Isn't that from like some anime or manga or
It's like the biggest battleship ever created by the Japanese Navy.
Oh, it was an actual battleship.
It was actual ship. Yes, before it was the anime based on before it was Space Battleship Yamato, there wasn't actually Yamato.
Yes. Well,
There's a real Yamato.
Yes.
If only they taught
In
history
World War II.
schools.
Man, once upon a time, there was a war
Yes.
that happened all over the world.
All over. That's why they called it a world war.
And they called it the World War.
Yeah.
And then a few decades later, they had another one.
Wait, hold on.
one World War II.
Go back. A warmin is when two forces or nation
Right,
states come to conflict.
It was like that Chris Kattan story
Yeah.
with his
Yep.
girlfriend. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a lot like that. It was World War II was fought over who drank all the beer.
I mean, in a sense.
Yeah.
Do you think the
Japan
Germans-
had the knife, and the knife had a name, and that name was Yamato?
Do you really think he doesn't know what people on Blow act like?
No, I don't believe that for 1 second. When actors say that guy seemed like he was on blow, what they mean is I was on blow with that guy, and so was he.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
I watched Heat again the other day for about the 1,000th time, and I was listening to one of the things on the DVD, and it was Pacino has said that the reason he's so insane in that movie and big is that he was playing the character as if the character was on cocaine all the way through that movie. That's why he's acting so aggro all the time in
Makes
that movie.
more sense now.
And I was like, I think what Al Pacino meant to say is that Al Pacino was on
right.
the whole time they were making that movie. And that's why
That
he's
also
acting
makes
that
more
way.
sense.
But it's easier to be third person about it.
Yeah, I based my character as if he was a cocaine addict. Not that I would know anything about that myself.
I mean, yeah, his character was pretty intense, you could say. That was a good movie, though. Very long movie.
Corky Romano? Yeah.
Yes. Corky. I don't know if I've ever seen that movie, actually.
That sounds
Is
right.
it? Yeah. Is it any good?
I guess it depends who you ask. If you ask a random person or somebody who's bought the biography of the main star.
Well, then you need to ask Matt.
Do you guys know what the Yamato is named after? Why it's called the Yamato?
No, we don't.
The original?
Yeah, why they called the original battleship, why it's called Yamato.
I'm sure Jake does.
Why they called it Yamato? I don't know. I actually don't know. Other than it might be a region or something.
That's exactly right. It's
Yeah.
Yamato Province, a province of Japan. So it's like if it was named the California or something like that.
Yeah. The reason I guess that is because her sister ship is Musashi, and I know Musashi is a province in Japan. So.
Wow.
There you
So
go.
then
This
there's
is
there's a manga that's called Yamato.
A battleship
Yes.
space. Yeah.
Yeah, there's an anime called Space Battleship Yamato. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The main character's ship is called the Yamato.
Uh-huh. And then it's called the Enterprise's sister ship is called the Yamato.
Yep.
Star Trek.
Wait, the Enterprise's sister ship is called the Yamato?
Yeah,
Yes.
Wow.
that's what we just learned in this episode.
They were just talking about it, right?
See how they're on the
Oh,
Yamato and it looks
the
exactly
same-
like the Enterprise?
Yeah, that was
That's not
not
because
done
they
for
just
any
wanted to use the
reason other
same
than
set.
this.
It's because they
Forward.
built the entire Yamato ship and it looks exactly like the Enterprise.
That was really convenient for. I mean, they actually built a second set that was exactly like the first
Yeah.
one. So
They
give
actually
them
built
full
an
credit.
exact replica on stage 9.
Well, the Yamato one is darker, of course. So
And then
it's-
somebody said, "Why don't we just reuse the already existing bridge set?" And Gene Roddenberry was like, "You're fired."
What? And then he used that idea.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then rehired as a higher position.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Apparently, there's a movie. There's a live-action
Whoa.
movie version of Space Battleship Yamato. Has anybody seen this? They took the anime and made a live-action version out of it.
I haven't seen that. It's cool.
Nope.
2010, Space Battleship Yamato.
I have not seen.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds cool.
It was a
Oh, they
big hit in Japan. #1 at the Japanese box office, beating Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Whoa.
Fourth highest grossing film of Japan of the year in 2011. Fourth highest.
Now
So
I'm curious what the other three were.
I bet they are Japanese movies.
Hmm.
I like
Russian
how they
one,
have
too.
like little dust busters in their pockets.
Yeah. What's going on?
Those are their phasers, but man, they look like modern day dust busters, or not modern day ones, but
They
the
look
ones.
like 1988. That's
Yeah, exactly.
They're too small to be 1988 Dustbusters. Those were
That's the
size like.
future.
Miniaturization.
Yeah.
The #1 movie in Japan that year, Min, was something called Umezaro 3: The Last Message.
Ooh. Hmm.
Huh.
Sounds
like a-
cool.
I always feel like the transporter guy's in like a sound recording booth because of the wall looks like that sound.
Yeah.
The sound.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
acoustic bathroom.
Yeah, the acoustic game playing. That's where he's doing his mixing.
Umizaro.
Nice. Finger guns.
Fingered guns for transporter chief.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have a name, right? That's what Sean was saying.
No, they
They
don't
haven't
have a
called.
name
They
yet.
don't even call him Miles yet.
Nope.
Yeah, he's got to earn his stripes.
When does he get a name?
I do not know.
There are some episodes about Julie.
About what?
Jordy. I don't get enough Jordy time.
Jordy is a great character. When they make him the focus of an episode, through no fault of his own, they tend to not be very good episodes. I think. Like Jordy gets the Scotty sort
Yeah.
of character arc on this show, where Scotty is always. Remember how
Jordy
Scotty was always having like
Kind of.
creepy love plots? Like there would be episodes where Scotty had like a crush on
For
some girl who
sure.
worked on the ship. Jordy has a lot of those sort of plots.
And
where
then
it's
that
like,
girl would die
Jordy-
mysteriously.
Jordy meets a woman, and it turns out she's a weird alien. Jordy meets a woman, and it turns out she's an android. You know, like
Yeah.
they do a lot of Jordy has a terrible love life storylines for some reason.
I mean, it's not necessarily terrible for your love life if you meet an alien woman or an android, is it?
Yeah, well,
This
but
is
on
the
Star Trek,
future.
they're evil.
It's usually like there's some
Oh.
deception involved too.
Okay. He's like catfished.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But he does have some good episodes. There's a good one where he gets kidnapped by the Romulans. Like that's a pretty good episode. And he does all right.
There's a few Data episodes where Geordi is like the second.
Yeah, they spend a lot of time on the Data Geordi friendship. So those two, usually whenever there's a big Data episode, Geordi's
A data dump.
Data doesn't dump. We've talked about this already.
I thought he did, but he didn't have to, and that's super annoying to the space janitor.
And that's why.
Yeah, that when he does, it's like you didn't have to.
Yeah, and why didn't you flush? Like,
Yeah.
see it through.
He's trying to become more human.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you do when you're
By not flushing.
Has anybody else besides me and Sean been watching Star Trek Lower Decks?
How is it now?
Speaking of
I've been
space
watching it.
janitors, a show about space janitors, sort of.
I saw a billboard for
Yeah.
it. Oh, no.
Ah.
The energized cloud has a face.
And it's a
This
real
was the
creepy.
dancing baby.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is so creepy. I've always thought it was creepy. It's
Mhm.
really it's unnerving, this face.
It's
Really
terrible.
pushing uncanny
Played
valley.
by Earl Bowen.
Wait, that is a human behind that?
That's the voice.
It looks like if Sharknado was a person.
Yeah.
He's the doctor in the Terminator movies.
Like a little baby Sharknado person.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like some kind of French TV show for kids, like a Teletubbies precursor.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's really
He's
popular.
the
over there.
like the mean psychiatrist in the Terminator.
Yes. Mhm.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
Yep.
fun.
That's the actor who plays Nagellan.
Yeah.
The reason why his name is Nagellum is because Richard Mulligan was supposed to play it.
Star Trek.
Richard Mulligan's busy on whatever that show he was on was called. Nurses. Empty Nest.
Well,
Whoa.
whoa.
This is wrong.
This is how she falls down the elevator, man. You got those seizures. People are like,
She starts falling here
yeah, and she
She
just,
doesn't land till she's on LA Law.
Yeah.
for 4 seasons. Yeah.
yeah.
She's stumbling for four seasons.
Empty nest.
Diana Muldaur is still
I haven't heard
alive.
that.
I looked up her IMDb. She's 83. She's still with us. She retired after LA Law, essentially. She basically stops working after she leaves LA Law. She retired.
Does
She
go
said
to
there were
cons?
She said there were nobody writes parts for women her age, so she basically sort of
Yeah.
semi-voluntarily stopped working
Mhm.
because she couldn't get hired.
I mean, I think that's kind of like what Whoopi's saying too, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what Whoopi said.
And probably
She's
she's
like-
got double because she's black, so it's like there wasn't anything.
Uh-oh. Everyone
here comes
get a
a
drink.
famous
Moment.
meme.
Is
Famous
this the
meme,
best death
famous
in all of
meme.
Star Trek?
Yes.
Gross. Ow.
He really goes for it.
Yeah.
I
Drink.
love it.
Gonna get up.
A lot more believable the way she jumped around.
Yeah.
He's dead, Jim.
That's a
You
very
know what else? I forgot to say this last week, but you know what else I think about sort of Whoopi stopping acting and moving into TV is that she hosted the Oscars a bunch of times in that era, like sort of
Oh, yeah.
mid-90s.
Sure.
She was a huge star. And everyone loved her. And everyone was like, wow, Whoopi's great. You know, she's great at hosting the Oscars.
So
She's
like,
great as herself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? She's great as like a TV personality.
yeah.
And I think she sort of went like, shit, I'm not getting good parts, so
Yeah.
I
This is-
I
can
can
make
just be myself.
I can be myself on television and
Mhm.
be just as successful. So she goes and does Hollywood Squares and like, you know, is a
Mhm.
big hit. And
Mhm.
so I think that's kind of, she realized it would
Yeah.
be easier to just, you know, be a TV personality than keep banging your head against the door trying to make
Yeah.
movies happen.
Well, she's hilarious. So, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, she's just naturally funny, man. Hollywood
Yeah.
Squares, she was amazing.
She's great. She's very good. She's very funny.
Can we go back to that death for just a quick second? Do you think that he did it like at that percentage right away, or do you think the director worked him up to that?
No,
I think
worked him down.
that's the take version.
I think Sean's saying he started bigger, and the director was like, "Take it down by
I don't know.
turn
I
it
think
down
the,
by like 50%."
I think the producer was yelling at him like the guy who went to Zach Galifianakis.
More. Yeah.
Bigger.
Yeah, I cannot imagine that being bigger though, Sean. Like that was huge already on screen. What was aired.
I felt his
That's
pain.
what she said.
Yes.
Good night, everybody.
Sean. That's it. We can end this show now.
Does she get any? What are we going to call? It's not quite spacism. What are we going to call the phenomenon when Pulaski is like bigoted against robots?
Oh, I think we call that spaces.
We just call it spacism.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Robots are just another type of race.
She's
So what
got
else
a
does
vote.
she have against Data?
She's a Luddite.
She doesn't like. A lot of people in this universe are wary of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a
So
part
what-
of the Picard
The
show.
behind the scenes story on this, I actually know the answer if you want to know.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Give it to
She-
us, Matt.
This is the one place you can talk about this.
It's the only
Without
place they
being
can talk
Yeah.
about.
beaten up.
I can go on other Star Trek podcasts, but they're not as much fun as you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a threat?
See?
Or was it
Yeah.
a burn?
I don't think it's a threat to just, say things that are true. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, was that a threat? That feels like a threat.
Riker's spirit, hold him down.
that sounded more like a threat. I agree.
Yeah, right.
Offers.
So the producers wanted to set up a sort of Spock McCoy relationship. Like they wanted to have like somebody who would be like the banter, who could banter back and forth with Data in the way that Spock and McCoy had that sort of like semi-antagonistic
Okay.
relationship back on the old show. So what they're going for with Dr. Pulaski is Dr. McCoy Part 2. Right.
Female bones.
Cranky and kind of like bigoted against Data in the same way that McCoy was sort of bigoted against Vulcans. But it doesn't quite work because they don't have the same chemistry with each other that McCoy and Spock have with each other. So I think that idea kind of doesn't quite play. It doesn't work on screen the way that they intended it to.
Spock
Because
is kind of
it comes off like she's just bullying him.
yeah,
'Cause
exactly. Yeah.
He doesn't fight back.
innocent.
Really. Like
Yeah, he
he's
doesn't
But that's the difference between Data and Spock. Spock is like knows he's a superior being and and acts as such.
And he will
Whereas
occasionally
Data
jab
tries
back.
to Data knows he's a superior being but wants to be human.
yeah, and it just comes off as her being a dick to
Right.
him because he doesn't really argue back with her. So whatever vibe they were going for, it didn't play out the way they
Yeah.
wanted it to.
But it's funny when you were saying like people are upset about it, and I'm like, well, obviously like it was intentional because it's like a script. So like,
Yeah.
whatever.
She wasn't
Yeah.
improv those
Yeah.
lines. I love it. It's just
I don't think they were mad at the actress. They just didn't like
Yeah.
her. They didn't like the
Like,
character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people were mad at the actress.
Yeah. I think that's what we learned about in modern times is people can't separate the two.
Yeah.
People are not good about that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
let's not give
Poor
people
guy
too
that
much
played
credit.
Jar Jar Binks is
Yeah.
still catches shit all the time.
He's still in the witness protection program.
Yeah. I mean,
he's currently
may not be on this
hosting this
podcast right
show.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What nobody realized was that Diana Muldaur was Jake all along.
Yeah. That's why Jake is using the voice changer.
So versatile.
But doesn't that really depend? Because the actor who played Joffrey on Game of Thrones, his character was so like revolting and hideous, but he's been, I think, pretty decently treated in real life, where people could separate like, oh, then you are this revolting
Yeah,
character.
but people liked the character as a bad guy, though. Like, I think that's one of the things.
That
It's
makes
like
sense.
people like
you're so good, right?
at being the bad. Like, you were so good at being terrible. Like, people knew it was a terrible character, and it wasn't like something that was ruining the chemistry of the main cast. You know what I mean? I think.
Whereas Jar Jar was like an affront to reality.
Yeah, Jar Jar was like
It was
Jar Jar was
racist.
hurting the whole thing. Like, the character, not the
I
actor.
mean, it's
And the
pretty.
actor had nothing to do with it. The character, I mean, he did what he was told.
So I should stop sending hate mail.
No.
It's
That's the only fan mail
male.
he gets. Poor guy.
Yeah.
Well,
I'd like to meet the one like super duper Jar Jar
And
apologist.
Fan? Mm,
Yeah.
I think they exist.
Oh,
they're out, they are out there.
I'm sure they exist. I just would like to meet one.
I mean, Erin doesn't know much about Star Wars, but she knows to defend Jar Jar at every chance. And
To defend it?
She always. I think she knows how to rile up a crowd of nerds.
Yeah.
Yes, she obviously does. I have to say the Enterprise has been looking really, really good in the shots where we see the ship. I don't know whether it's like the same graphics or updated graphics, but
You know, Matt, if they did they up the budget from season 1 to season 2?
Seem
I don't know, but the show looks better. I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah.
that, like,
more saturated colors.
Yeah, the ship looks even better. It looks like it has more depth and somehow more nuance.
they also haven't had any episodes yet where they're down on a planet and it's just a blue
That's
like
true.
backdrop
Yeah.
behind
Yeah, these
them.
are back to back where they're just
Big
on the ship the
rocks.
whole time.
Yeah.
Mhm. Look at the bokeh in these shots. Some
The
good
beiges
bokeh,
be
man.
popping them.
Yeah, beiges be popping.
He's gotten more mature this season.
Little Wesley?
Yeah, he's
Oh, it's-
taller and a little wider.
Yeah, he was really like.
He was a beanpole the first season.
well, I still think he's pretty wiry, but yeah, I think I agree.
More
Or-
grown up. He
He's a
seems
little
more
more
Broader shoulders.
Yeah.
little beefier.
I wonder why like they wrote him like such like this 50s era sci-fi innocent kid.
Yeah.
Like I mean like so
Leave it
much.
to Beaver.
Because all
Why
the
does
people
it be
who were
such a,
writing
like,
it were
yeah, leave it
writers
to
in the
Beaver.
50s.
Mhm.
What's that?
Yeah,
All the
but
people who were
you
writing it.
you would
I
think
know.
that none of these writers like had children, like teenage children,
Yeah.
like or ever met a
Yes.
teenage boy.
Yes.
Like,
These writers
like a
went to
movie
Nam,
version
for
of a
God's
kid.
sakes. Do you think they would like throw some?
Pubes on that kid.
Yeah.
How old is he in real life compared to his character? Are they?
he's
is he-
exactly the same age. He was a kid.
Okay.
He was
Okay.
he was not 20 playing 16. Like he was
He's
actually
16 now, I think.
yeah.
This is an episode that is not very good because there's no like the alien just lets them go.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have any agency in
They
it.
have no agency and nothing they do affects anything that happens.
And
so-
their plan was to just blow up the ship.
Yeah, Picard's like, I'd rather kill everyone than sit here and play your games. So the alien's just like, okay, you can leave. And that's the end of the episode.
He's like, okay, goodbye.
There's like a sort of Chris Kattan kind of feel to this alien.
Looks a little like Mr. Peepers.
Yeah, it's a little bit like Mr. Peepers. That's what I'm thinking.
That intense look.
I like that he can just appear on any screen like
Yeah,
some creeper. Jesus.
he called him through FaceTime.
I don't know. In the captain's John, he's like, boop, boop. What you doing?
And also,
Sounds
there's
like
just no
Chris
like,
Kattan.
there's no explanation of the alien. Like, what did it want? Why was it there? Like, it's just a real.
It's a real
Yeah.
7.1.
It's interesting how much
That's
more
it?
people like that than liked
Yeah.
the last one.
That's what I'm saying.
The
This is-
story
It is
of this,
not. It is not better than the last one.
No.
the story of this episode is that we have now watched it.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll never have to watch it
You
again.
don't have to watch it again.
I mean, I don't think even as a kid I don't remember liking that episode.
No.
I think
I
I
erased it from
actually
my-
like the ones with Guinan in them. I always like Whoopi's character.
Well, sure.
Oh,
I
but the next
saw
one's elementary, dear Data?
Still,
Oh, this is a
Good
good
one.
one. This is a good
To
one.
me,
mm,
Cool.
Some Sherlock Holmes action.
Yeah.
Holodeck
Gonna get
episode
Sherlock
with Data.
Holmes.
Yeah.
And LaPorte gets to play Watson, right? So
Yep.
Hey.
there you go.
All right.
So
You were looking for some Jordy. This is
Yeah,
Jordy's got
we need
big
some
parts.
Jordy
This is
time.
Data Jordy.
nice.
They're like the Duke brothers.
And
they're-
Guy
So does anybody have any recommendations?
I do. May does.
May
So,
does.
Were
Give
you
it to us.
looking
jingle.
for someone
Play the
who actually
jingle.
enjoyed
Right.
Jar Jar Binks? Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Recommendations. Okay. So, were you looking for someone who enjoyed Jar Jar Binks? Well, look no further. The podcast called Newcomers, where Nicole Byer and Lauren Lapkus pick a nerd franchise that they've never seen before, and then they watch all of them and they talk about them. So they did it with Star Wars. And Nicole Byer loves Jar Jar Binks.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
So they did Star Wars for season 1. Season 2 just started, and they're doing Lord of the Rings. And then they have guests on that are like total nerds. So like it's so funny because they're like, "Oh yeah, we watched this movie. We still don't know what's happening." And then like the nerds kind of like, catch them up and help them remember what it was all about. It's
Are
funny.
they watching? Are they watching with sound or no sound? Do they watch it right before
So they watch
commentate?
they watch it before, and then the pod is like them talking to a nerd about what they thought about it. So like for Star Wars, they did all the movies, including the Ewok movies, which I was like, I didn't know there were 2 of those.
Yep.
And then they
Major
watched,
TV movies.
yeah. And they watched like little bits of Mandalorian and the Clone Wars, and then the Christmas special. And now they're doing Lord of the Rings stuff.
Holiday special. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah,
There's no Christmas in the holiday special.
So newcomers, listen to it.
yeah. There's Christmas in Star Trek, but no Christmas in Star Wars.
That's
That's the
right.
difference.
Yeah.
It's the only difference.
That's an excellent recommendation.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Star Trek Lower Decks, we already said, is pretty good.
Excellent.
It's very
Excellent.
funny. It's really kind of delightful.
What era is it supposed to be in? Is it an original? Like, is it
It's
in?
in the
Next
future.
gen.
It's Picard. It's Picard. It's Picard era.
But it's after that, like, because they talk about Picard.
But it's supposed to be like it's like 10. It's supposed to be like that Voyager. Or
Yeah.
that era.
The late era.
It's great.
Yeah, we just watched the opening, and we were laughing.
Oh, the intro is so good.
Where they turn
Yeah.
around,
They
go into a battle.
it's like the
and then they turn
Romulans
around.
are fighting the Borg cubes.
Borg, and they just
It's like-
leave.
It's like they
Yeah.
like get hit once and they're just like, nope.
Well, no, it's great because like the whole show is about the like lower decks people, but even the ship itself is sort of
Yeah. It's
they're
not-
called they're the
Second
second
contact.
contact. They don't make first contact like the Enterprise. They make second contact. They go back and give them gifts and things like that. Just check on them, make sure everything's okay.
That's
It's
important.
really.
It's called
funny.
the USS Cerritos. It's the ship.
Man, from our auto square to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're from Southern California, you'll know that that's a reference to.
Is that the
famous-
one? Is that the one thing that everyone knows about Cerritos?
That's
is
the only
that
thing I know about
Either on a
Cerritos.
square.
Square.
Yeah.
famous car dealership?
That'll teach you, marketers. It's all about the theme song. We
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that
All
theme
about
song.
the jingles.
Yeah, get that. Get that
Yeah.
jingle.
To get that jangle.
I've been listening to a lot of 90s era Amy Mann lately. Everyone should listen to Amy Mann. That was my other recommendation for the week.
The singer.
No.
Yes. You said that like you weren't sure.
I
but yes.
wasn't sure. Amy
Yeah.
Mann.
Listening to was probably a context clue though there, man, when I said a lot of 90s era.
Maybe she's a spoken word artist.
Yeah.
Sure.
Famous
Like a beat poet. You know how famous, how popular beat poetry was in the 90s?
Mm-hmm. Poetry, Jeff
It was
Jam.
like swing dancing.
Yeah.
There you go. That was actually, yes.
Mhm.
I do remember friends who would be like, "Yeah, I went swing dancing this weekend. It was
God,
awesome."
I got roped into that once. It was,
I took less
just because I didn't want to do that.
Yeah. Well, they've got some fancy moves.
It's very energetic. So we've got an anti-recommendation against swing dancing. Sounds right.
I liked that period. I thought that was fun.
No thanks.
Would you do line dancing, Aaron, instead of swing dancing?
Probably not.
Oh, really?
I'm not good at dancing what other people want to do. Coordinated things.
So like the electric slide, just out.
Style. Correct.
Okay.
Aaron was busy at the gay bar in West Hollywood doing 80s night on the stage
Mm-hmm.
at Factory.
Freeform.
I was in the cage.
Put her back in that cage.
Okay, we're done, right?
Yeah.
We're now.
Man.
We're done with this.
Wrap
Thank
it
you all
up.
very much. Thank you all very much for listening. Please go to iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts to rate, review, and subscribe. You can go to
Wait for that.
Instagram at Warped the Podcast or YouTube at Warped Trek. You can follow me at Host Warped. You can follow Min to learn about Dungeons and Dragons and Call of Cthulhu, podcasts and live streams at Wet Maynard. Go to Instagram.com/lunarflare for merch. And you can go to Patreon.com/Warped to become a subscriber and get access to bonus content and additional materials. Thank you all very much for listening. Oh, I forgot to say it. I always forget to say it in the first episode. Black Lives Matter, Trans Lives Matter, defund the police, Republicans are assholes. Don't listen to this podcast if you don't like it. Until next week.
We say at the end.
Matt.
I'm Sean.
I'm Jake.
Aaron.
I'm in win.
We lost.